Alright, Trajanus here, and for this video series I'm going to be doing something a little different. I kind of wanted to go over one of the ways that I like to learn new nations. It's sort of a hands-on approach. Obviously, there's lots of different ways to learn nations. Not saying this is the best way, probably isn't. It's a little time intensive, but hopefully it's entertaining to watch. It also gives me a chance to show off NatGen or Nation Generator. Which is a mod that will just generate random Dominions nations. Yeah, it's a fantastic mod, really cool. Definitely check that out. I'll put a link in the video description. It's not going to generate balanced nations, but it is a lot of fun to mess around with. So yeah, we've got Abawana here, Rotting Time, and I don't really know anything about this nation other than I took a look at the Sacred. And so this is usually the first thing I do for a nation that I don't know anything about or haven't seen before. Obviously, if they don't have Sacreds, you can kind of skip this step. Doesn't apply. But yeah, the first thing I like to do is just try to Hellbless the nation's Sacred. Partially just because it's fun and it's a useful way to learn about what does and doesn't work for blesses and different units, which is useful information anyway. But then we'll also kind of teach you a lot of things about the nation as you play with it. So yeah, this is the Sacred for this nation. Kind of interesting, Tiger Rider, not that crazy as far as NatGen goes. It does have built-in regeneration though, so it is incredibly expensive, right? This is a really expensive Sacred. Otherwise, normal Tiger Rider things, it does actually have a short bow, which yeah, I missed. I already created a build for this guy, which we'll show in a second. But anyway, yeah, normal Tiger Rider stuff, a lot of attacks, and then yeah, he has a bow as well, built-in regeneration. Yeah, kind of interesting. Really high defense skill. And so this is the build that I'm going to be going with. The Demi-Lich is just sort of a lazy pick. It's a pretender that's on almost every nation. And it's more or less a rainbow, and it also has high dominion. So if you're planning on going with a decently high dominion strength, not that we did in this case, so not really necessary. But anyway, if you want to recruit a lot of Sacreds, then usually if you're going with a Hellblessed Sacred strategy, you want fairly high dominion strength. Because you're going to want to recruit a lot of your Sacreds, and the Demi-Lich is a useful way to get high dominion strength and more or less kind of a rainbowy bless, and like I said, it's available on almost every nation, so it's often what I use when I'm just kind of messing around. None of this is optimal, so yeah, didn't really generally don't pay attention to what the nation needs, and tank almost all the scales, especially drain, and oftentimes I don't tank growth. Probably should, because not really planning on a long game. Either gonna go through expansion testing, or in this case gonna pit two nations against each other in a 1v1. So it's not gonna be a long game, so a lot of the kind of more important long-term scales are going to matter a lot less in this setting, and also again just trying to Hellbless the Sacreds. In this case, because their Sacreds are so expensive and require a lot of recruitment points, I actually did go with some order and a little bit of growth to help offset things, but yeah, mostly just completely trash the scales. That's what you're going to do when you Hellbless. So yeah, I would say just take a look at what the Sacred needs. If it has really high resource cost, then it's don't go down to Sloth 3. Otherwise you're not even going to be able to build your Hellblessed Sacred. So just take a look at what the nation's Sacred is going to need. In terms of being able to recruit some, make sure your Dominion strength isn't too low. In this case, I've only gone with 5 because they're so gold intensive. I just don't think I'm going to be able to push that many of them out at a time. And then, yeah, throw on something that, you think is going to be good. So, we have a lot of attacks, and I also don't really get to play with the weapon blesses much because they're not very good. Thunder Weapons is probably the best of them. It seems to be the consensus, so we'll see how Thunder Weapons does. Weapon blesses also apply to ranged attacks, non-natural ranged attacks, I believe. So we'll apply to our short bows as well with these Sacreds. And then fire and shock resistance. Sacred Cavalry, very valuable, so it is useful to have resistances on, and this is sort of just a cheap way to get some resistances on. I tend not to focus too much on resistances when testing the nation out this way. because mostly just looking at making them ridiculous at expansion. But since, I will be, in this case, it'll be a 1v1 situation, like, yeah, this is a good pick on a valuable sacred. Times 6 Undying, right? So they're going to get 12 health or 12 additional, HP. So they'll be able to go down to -12. This will more or less double their hit points, and because they have built-in regeneration, they will actually survive at the end of the combat as long as, they don't go down to -13 or lower, right? As long as they don't completely die during the combat. So in this case, like, Undying is a lot more valuable. And is cheaper, right? Like, each point of Undying gives you 2 like Undying HP, whereas the HP that you get from a Nature or Blood Bless is just 1 hit point, per point of Bless. So there is definitely something to be said, because the Undying will not increase your overall regeneration rate. So, if we gave, I think we need like 7 or something additional actual hit points, and it would increase our regeneration bracket. So, we'd be regenerating an additional hit point every round. And that is important, definitely. So there's something to be said for, giving a regenerating sacred like actual additional HP. But, our hit points are going to be pretty low anyway. So yeah, and also the Demi-Lich starts with Death 3. So yeah, this was pretty cheap to pick up. And then, yeah, threw on Barkskin. Yeah, Barkskin in a longer game, in a longer setting, not as useful, because you can Mass Protection, right, sort of just supersedes it. But I don't even know if we have Nature Magic with this nation. So, that's something to be said for it. And then we also just have those sacreds have almost no protection whatsoever. So giving them even like a little bit of protection, even though, yeah, we're going to be relying on like the really high defense, definitely, and the thunder weapons to shock people, so they don't see as many attacks. Just a little bit of protection to guard against like arrow fire, so they don't just completely melt, I think is going to be worth it. So anyway, yeah. By no means optimal, and yeah, hopefully these are actually going to live up to their name of Murder Tigers. And we're going to be pitting those Murder Tigers against Hashito, Rule of the Fire Mages. Again, don't really know anything about this nation, except they have some of the most hilarious sacreds that I have ever seen. Not that I've generated a ton of nations, but a decent amount. So they have Sacred Markata, who also are just start as Old Age. And yeah, so they get a Bite and a Dancing Fist, which is magic damage. And like, yeah, these sacreds are just like, they're absolutely awful, right? Like, make no mistake about it. You would never want to Hellbless these. You probably wouldn't even want to play this nation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the rest of the nation is really good. But yeah, this is definitely an example of a sacred that like you shouldn't Hellbless, but I just thought it'd be fun to give it a shot, see what we could do with it, and just sort of like demonstrate, right, where it's just like, okay, like here's a nation where like maybe a stronger bless is useful, and then like here's a nation where like, yeah, probably like ignore their sacreds. So anyway, this is the other sacred that we're going to be trying to Hellbless. Let's take a look at what we've got. So this is what we got. Some Markata Madness, again with the Demi-Lich. Like, yeah, just a lazy pick. Here it's a little more useful because I've gone up to 10 Dominion, right, which is the max Dominion, and those like last points of Dominion strength get a lot more expensive, so starting at that higher 3 Dominion is saving us a decent amount of points. We've completely tanked every scale to have any hope of these sacreds doing anything at all. And then, yeah, like also they are very cheap, right? Like that is one good thing about these sacreds. So I think we'll probably still be able to get 10 of them a turn, even with these like absolutely abysmal scales, literally as bad as you can make them. Actually, maybe not. Like maybe, I forget if this nation needs like cold. If they want cold or heat, they might actually want like heat 1 or 2. So we could, I guess, make it a little worse. But I mean, still, this is like the most design points you can get from trashing your scales. So, what are we doing with them? So the 10 Dominion strength is, we're going to need a lot of them, and they're cap only, which is like, yeah, another reason that they're not good sacreds. So yeah, we're going to need a lot of them to be able to do anything. So, 10 Dominion strength, we need to be able to recruit 10 of these a turn, definitely. and they're gonna die, right? Like there's just no way. Like there's nothing good about them. There's like they have no protection, their defense is miserable, like their attack is not good. So like they're gonna die. So death explosion, right? They actually do have, just nat gen being weird, they have built-in 5 fire resistance already, right? So we're gonna add 10 fire resistance on top of that. So like hopefully they will be somewhat protected from their own deaths, right? So we won't like trigger a chain reaction where if one of them dies, they just all immediately blow up. So we'll see. It's 10 AP damage. They don't really have any protection. So is 15 fire resistance going to be enough? I feel like probably not always. So like maybe could have also gone minor fire resistance. Like we'll see. Not expecting this build to be great anyway. And then we've thrown thunder weapons on here again. Also, yeah, I just don't get to play with the weapon blesses. I do think it's going to be useful because, these guys, these sacreds get to throw sticks and stones, right? And so, like, shocking them, it's going to help, right? So it's like we're going to stun and shock them. Enemies that are coming in, right? And hopefully deal a lot of damage that way. We have a ton of ammo with sticks and stones. And then just given like additional strength, which like they have pretty miserable strength anyway, but it's just going to boost the damage of the sticks and stones and the range a little bit. So we'll see. Like that may be just a waste of points there. But yeah. So the idea is like hit them with the shocking sticks and stones, and they're going to be able to be thrown a little bit farther and deal a little bit more damage. And then like once the enemy manages to close into melee, we're just going to blow up in their face and hopefully not trigger a chain reaction and immediately kill all of our sacreds. So yeah, not a great build, but it will hopefully be entertaining. Okay, and so now we have a randomly generated map with each of those nations and each of those builds, both controlled by a human player, right? So I'm going to be playing against myself here, which I actually think is playing single player is fine, and the AI does unpredictable things and it can be interesting, but it's a very different way to play. So I find for myself at least, testing your own builds against each other can be a more useful way to, kind of simulate like multiplayer settings. And it's obviously a lot faster than, going through like a full, 4-month, 3-month Dominions game. So yeah, now that we're in, we can take a look at kind of what else the nation offers. You can always, figure out your gem income by taking a look at like what gems you actually have. So it looks like we're astral, death, and nature with this nation. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and profit the starting commander because we are going to be relying on our sacreds. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and try to recruit up our sacreds. And like already we can see, from the recruitment, right? And this is the advantage of going with the Hellbless, right? Is that you very quickly see like, okay, this is like what the nation needs in terms of like resources and recruitment and gold and things like that. And so it gives you a very good sense of like what scales are most painful for the nation to dump. Now, of course, we don't have any connections to our capital yet, so resources are kind of always the most painful thing, like right out the gate. But we can see, right, that it's like, well, we could get, one more tiger, right, and he's 46 recruitment points, and then that's kind of it, right? So, yeah, I mean, we don't really need resources, right? I think like tanking resources is not that bad because once we actually like pick up some connections, now we could go order 3, right? Like we didn't go full order. So I think like there's an argument to be made for this nation if you're focusing on the sacreds, to go order 3, right? Because they're super, recruitment point intensive. And of course, like as you get better at the game, you can just look at units and look at these things and know ahead of time, right? That it's like, oh yeah, okay. So for experienced players, you don't need to do this, right? You can look at the nation and figure out a lot of this stuff ahead of time. But you don't have to, right? Like you can just jump in and like, start to queue things up and see like, oh, okay, and like, yeah, I don't know. For me, at least, I kind of like a hands-on approach and this is a fun way to do it. So again, not the only way to do it, but, a way to do it. So yeah, so we can see that it's like there's definitely an argument for even more order, and that like resources probably aren't going to be a limiting factor here for our recruitment. We don't have a lot of gold, and our sacreds are going to chew up a lot of gold, right? That's the other thing. We can't actually, yeah. So that's it. We have gold problems now as well. So even if we did have more resources, we're also out of holy points here, right? So, we're capped in like a couple different ways. So it's like if I really wanted to push out more of these sacreds, it's like I'm going to need a little more recruitment points. I'm going to need more gold. I'm going to need, a few more holy points. So yeah, something to consider. In terms of, so at least for our first group, right, we'll be able to lead that with our prophet. Time to start taking a look at the mages of the nation. And we can see that, well, like none of them so far are priests. Or sacred, for that matter. So probably this isn't a nation that's going to want to mage bless. We do have a cheap astral mage. That's cool. That's always nice. So we have a level 2 priest here. He could lead. Yeah, he's got leadership, right? That's always important if you're looking to create, sacred expansion groups. And we have a priest 1 here. And yeah, he does have leadership, pretty miserable leadership, so that's always a little dangerous. Also he's just a 10 hit point guy. This guy's also just, regular human. He's got some robes, dudes in robes. So yeah, right, it's going to be dangerous to lead expansion parties with these guys, but it looks like those are probably our only priests. And again, like this is all stuff, you don't have to look through the entire nation, but you can look at like some of this stuff ahead of time before jumping in a game, right? Where it's like, oh, do I even have somebody that can lead sacred, expansion parties? And like, if not, then it's like, yeah, maybe skip the, Hellblessed stage of like this testing. So we're going to go ahead and just get assassins. We don't actually have scouts. Okay, interesting. Like decent assassin. No poison, though. That's kind of sad. And we can only get 1. How many commander points do they have? So yeah, maybe we will. No, we don't have any holy points. Okay, we're going to get a cheap researcher. Sure, why not? So yeah, and then to push out like our additional parties, this guy's pretty expensive, 115 gold. Ouch. He doesn't regenerate, so that's something, I guess. Like, yeah, a lot of these guys regenerate, which makes them like decently expensive. So yeah, maybe we will be going with this guy to lead, because I think we're going to be pretty gold strapped with this nation. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that's just sort of like a quick first pass, right? It's like cool, recruited up, some sacreds. This is probably, our assassin. So maybe we will get an assassin at some point, because we can do some assassin expansion with this nation. And yeah, it was a pretty small map. Looks like there's a river here that kind of divides it. Another river down here. So yeah, we'll go ahead and scout. Let's go down into here, because probably the other spawn is, somewhere around here. So we do want to see. And then we're going to go ahead and throw our Demi-Lich on research. Let's take a quick look. In terms of like what we can cast, we do have some astral. We have a lot of astral. So yeah, we're going to want to be able to communion. Decent amount of nature and a decent amount of death. So in terms of early research goals for this nation, I would say let's go for alteration. That's gonna always decent with some astral and also nature. So if we go to alt 4, that'll give us luck and body ethereal and swarm, all of which we can cast. And luck and body ethereal will be really nice on our hellblessed, hopefully pretty good and killy sacreds. Right, so we're going to give them some additional survivability, and then Swarm, will provide some chaff, right, to provide some other targets for other things to attack, give some cover for our really killy sacreds. At this stage of learning a nation, like, I don't really worry too much about, like long-term research goals and things like that. Like, I'm really trying to just get a sense of like, well, what scales does the nation want? Like, how do its units work? What mages are useful? What are they going to want to cast? So yeah, I think that covers turn 1 for our first nation here. And now turn 1 for our Markata Madness. So yeah, same thing. Gonna go ahead and just we've got an enter site here. Nice. We're just gonna profit our starting commander again because we're gonna try to do sacred expansion. Should be pretty interesting with this nation. Let's see. We're gonna send out our scout. Can we cross rivers? No, not really. Oh, there's a bridge here. So yeah, we'll just send him out this way. Go ahead and set this guy to research. Not sure what we're gonna research yet. So yeah, we're going to get hopefully 10 of these guys. Dang. So right already we can see, wow, these guys are actually, I did not realize, they are actually kind of recruitment point intensive. Didn't really pay attention to that. Just figured like, they're Marcata. Like surely the recruitment point cost will be low. And like, I mean, it is kind of low. It's not really low. So yeah, like right already, again, there's the like Hellblessing, completely trashing your scales kind of highlights like what you do and don't need. And this is like kind of crippling. Like we're probably gonna kind of like fail expansion here because we need a lot of these guys, and we can't really increase like our recruitment point count. Right, so like already like that 10 Dominion strength is wasted here for us more or less, and we can see like our resources are also just absolutely abysmal. But that said, we could round out. So so if we wanted to focus on this nation's sacreds, we could totally get away with trashing the resource scale completely. Right, we can get 10, like the maximum number of sacreds every turn with like the absolute minimum amount of resources. The resources are only going to go up. So completely trashing the resources, acceptable. Completely trashing the recruitment points was a mistake. In fact, if we wanted to completely, push out 10 of these guys, we need significantly more recruitment points. So yeah, let's see. We can't really recruit anything else, so yeah, we're gonna give it a shot with this. I don't expect it to go well. In terms of what else we have this master champion. Okay, he's not even a priest, so he can't bless himself. He has good leadership. It's like the commander version of our crappy sacred. Looks like we have air, astral, and nature with fire resistance all around. And then this guy's like heavy fire with some death, water, air, and then another 10% random, so we don't really care. It looks like this is a linked. Wow, so this is a pretty powerful caster. Not too expensive either. Also old though. Ouch, that does hurt. Pretty common for fire mages. Kind of an interesting chassis, decent number of hit points. Not sacred. Another fire mage, not sacred. Similar kind of pathing. So no astral really here, and it looks like fairly strong. Focus on fire with kind of a lot of random other stuff. And then what do we have here? And none of these guys have been sacred or priests. So in terms of leading out additional sacred parties, guess maybe these chosen bishops. He's priest level 2, pretty expensive. Do we have a cheaper guy? We do. Leadership 10, so probably going to be using this guy maybe if we end up being gold locked, which we probably won't be actually, because of our recruitment point issue. And then these are probably just regular commanders, 40 leadership. And then this guy, 80 leadership, cool. Looks like Rudy's fire resistant. That's kind of neat. Another assassin, interesting. But no scout, and pretty high damage weapon. Is this one-handed? Looks like it. But also no poison, so I don't know. Could be good. So I guess let's see if we can do some assassin expansion here. It'll actually eliminate one of our sacreds, which is sad, so we'll try something like this maybe. All right, we'll give that a shot. So then in terms of gem income, right, we've got 2 fire gems a turn, a air gem, water gem, and death gem. In terms of what our research target is going to be, again, I'm just being kind of lazy here. Fire elementals, sure, right? We have a lot of fire. When in doubt, Conjuration 5, if you have some elemental access, not a bad choice. So we're gonna be kind of lazy and then just go for Conjuration 5. So I think that covers it. All right guys, I lied. We're not gonna play that out because there's just no way those poor monkeys are gonna be able to pull it out. And this is something that I do anyway, where it if you hit a point where the build clearly isn't gonna work for whatever reason, again, not that any of these builds are particularly optimal, but for me it's well, if it can't even expand, then it's well, what's the point of even playing it out? or you do a couple expansions and you realize that like, oh, there's this hole in the bless that's like too much of a problem. Like archers are just killing me like every time. Like I need to adjust the bless, to figure this out. So restarting like a lot is pretty common in this anyway. Ideally, you don't like miss the recruitment point amount that you're going to need and like completely blow the scales out the gate. But especially when you're starting out, that's going to be not uncommon. And if you're not paying attention, like I wasn't, and you just assume like, oh, Marcata, it's fine, they're going to be incredibly cheap for everything, then you're gonna make some mistakes. So this we're going to use the same build for the Tigers, but for the Marcatas, I've adjusted things, and this also kind of demonstrates the importance of the Pretender chassis that you pick. So rather than just being lazy and only getting the Demi-Lich, since I knew that I wanted really high fire and high air and high earth, as well as high Dominion strength, I'm going with, let's see, what is this? A Statue of War, right? And the advantage of this is that, as an immobile, right, he starts with Dominion 4, right? So that's going to save us a lot of points, getting up to Dominion 10. And he's higher even than the Demi-Lich, so that's savings there. He is a little more expensive overall, right, as a chassis, 170 versus 120. That is another advantage of the Demi-Lich, is that it's a pretty cheap chassis because it has a lot of limitations. But the other nice thing is this guy already starts with 2 fire, and again, like if you're going for really high, any path, then like those last couple points of that path are the most expensive, right? So if you can pick a chassis that already starts with that path, then you're getting a lot of point savings, right? So this 2 fire is going to save us a lot. He doesn't have air, right? So that does hurt, right? For the Demi-Lich, it only costs 20 to add another path. For this guy, it's going to cost 40, so that we lose some points there. But he already has earth, right? Which is one of the things that we want to put points in, and overall is like, I think that this is going to save us. And we can see that, like I've been able to take, better scales. The other thing is that this nation, so this isn't like completely true. In fact, let's go. So yeah, that's I'm getting some additional points here. But if we go, let's see, yeah, we still end up with extra points because this nation has a preference for heat 1. So I was able to eke out some additional points by going for cold 3. But even with using like the same scales as before, we are getting some savings here, like by choosing a Pretender chassis that's better tailored like to the bless that we want to get. And so I've been able to add on some additional strength by going into adding some blood on, and then I just I needed 4 blood in order to get any like blood bless points, so and we just had 1 left over, so hey, they get an extra hit point now. Maybe they'll survive their friend's death explosion a little bit better. And then of course the other important thing is I was actually able to go up to order 1, which I didn't run any math. You can work this out ahead of time, maybe should work it out ahead of time this time, but we're just gonna gamble on it. I think this will be enough. This is a pretty big swing compared to like Turmoil 3, so we're gonna be getting a lot more recruitment points. We could probably even get away with no order, but yeah, we're gonna throw a little order on since that was an issue, and then we're gonna keep the 10 Dominion strength, and we're gonna go with this build now for our Marcata Madness. Alright, so I set up the same turn for the other nation. This is a new map, obviously, of course, new builds, all that stuff. And we can see that it worked out just barely, actually. So it looks, my intuition was about right there, which is nice. And we're actually kind of low on resources. So this will work, in so much for actually Hellblessing these silly secrets. And then, trying to figure out commander recruitment. We don't have a lot of resources left over, so I was thinking about maybe trying to get some assassins, but then that really cuts in to our first sacred expansion group here. So then I was looking at okay, well, what's our cheapest kind of researcher mage, and our mages are fairly expensive on this nation, and then I saw this guy, and he's only 85 gold and pretty solid mage, right? He's got astral, that's cool, he can communion up, and so I was like, great, let's go with this guy. And then whoa, right, he knocks out 4 of our sacreds. And for whatever reason, right, this guy actually, he's got this heavy ancestor armor, which is probably gonna be a problem for his encumbrance. and like, yeah, actually like chews up a decent amount of resources, right? And so this is where it's kind of like, okay, like, so now it's like interesting, and then looking at it, it's like, okay, yeah, this mage actually also has, heavy armor, right? He's in the samurai armor, and like, yeah, so like a lot of our mages actually need like a decent amount of resources. So, it's like already it's kind of looking like, well, like maybe tanking resources on this nation, at least completely, is like not a great play, since we're going to need to recruit mages all over the place, and they're going to actually chew into our resources a decent amount. Now, looks like this guy is not wearing a whole lot. Yeah. He's slow to recruit. I usually don't like to get these kind of guys early, but he will at least be decent at site searching. So, like, yeah, sure. Let's try to get one of these guys. But anyway, yeah. So just, right, kind of seeing where it's like, okay, like this is, seeing the problems that crop up, right, with a Hellblessed build like this. When all the scales are a problem, like very quickly you're gonna see like which ones are the biggest problems. So yeah, we'll go with this for now. Certainly not optimal, but yeah. And I think research, we're gonna do the same stuff. Yep. And yeah, that's turn 1 for this nation. Okay, turn 2. We can already see the advantage of an awake god, and being able to research. An awake researcher is not a build that I've really done too much, but yeah, definitely has a lot of advantages, right? We've already completed some research, which is really nice. Imprisoned rainbows are great, but there are disadvantages. All right, so this is what we've got planned for this nation. We really need gold, I think, more than anything here. So going after this, kind of more valuable province. Pretty standard, like we're just going to go hold an attack rear with our cavalry. Maybe actually should just do attack rear. We'll see. This is a pretty easy province, so I think we'll be okay. Big stack of barbarians here. Love that. Yeah, we're going to want to probably, clear out our cap circle. It's less of an issue, so we'll see. Because we're mostly gold constrained here, but this is like a decently valuable province. This is Middle Age, right? So you can generate the nation generator. Nations can go into any age. This has just been generated in a Middle Age, so these are Middle Age independents on like the normal independent strength setting. And then recruitment wise, like, right, we can already start to see. Oops, can't recruit here. Yeah, we can only get like 3 of our tigers this turn. We're using the cheaper priest, definitely. So leadership 10, like that's fine. We're not going to have more than 10 tigers. Sad to take the morale penalty, but yeah, our morale is not good. That could be a problem. These are not great sacreds, right? Like having this built-in regeneration on like, yeah, such a low HP unit, making them cost like a ton. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So anyway, we're going to get a priest to lead our next expansion group, which is just going to be 3 tigers. So yep, hopefully that Hellblessed is going to work for us. And then we're just going to round it out with like an assassin. Maybe we'll do some assassinating. We don't really have enough gold. We could maybe get like another priest. And yeah, we can get another priest. There's an argument to be made for that, because that way we get to use up that extra holy point, and then we won't have to worry about like future expansion groups. Like we'll have 2 commanders ready to go here, but I don't think we're going to be holy point capped next turn anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna get another assassin, and we'll see how that goes. We're gonna leave research as is, and yeah, that's gonna be turn 2 for this nation. All right, turn 2 for our Mercata Madness, and yeah, finishing some research. That's nice. Didn't get hit with an event here, which is purely just luck, as we have Misfortune 3 on this build as well. All right, and this is what we have planned. We are gonna go into some Wolf Tribe and see how that goes. We've combined the starting army here, which actually doesn't look half bad, right? These guys have longbows, and then there's like some infantry versions in here somewhere, yeah, who have like a harpoon. Protection is not great, but like, yeah, these actually don't look like bad troops. Which is sort of like, you can start to take a look at the troops and start to think about scales builds for the nation, which, spoiler, is going to be the next step of all this. Yeah, we have our exploding guys like far away, so hopefully they won't blow up our regular troops, and like, yeah, we're just gonna fire at archers, fire at closest, and yeah, see how this goes. Archers are going to be a big problem actually, like for these sacreds, so it's nice that we're gonna have something else that is gonna hopefully like soak up and distract the archer fire. But yeah, like we'll see how that goes with, you know, the pure sacred expansion groups for this. And of course, like there's pretty much archers like everywhere, you know, in our cap circle. So yeah. And then of course the other problem with like slow to recruit is we can't get a commander this turn, which is probably fine. We're gonna go with like, I guess, a group of like 20 of these sacreds next turn. So yeah, next turn we'll pick up some priests, and well, yeah, not quite 20, like 19 of these sacreds, assuming we have the gold. So yeah, already like not doing fantastic. This is definitely a reason to, you know, not recruit your slow to recruit commanders usually out the gate, you know, early on. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with this nation for turn 2. All right, so let's see how the Murder Tigers did in their first battle, along with like some of our national troops against almost nothing. So yeah, we do have archers here with this nation. I think they have a composite bow, yeah, which is a little bit better than a short bow. So kind of an interesting thing. We also have these, yeah, they're like kind of elite warriors kind of thing, but they also get nets, which is kind of interesting. So like they will probably die in droves, but they will at least net things up, and like, yeah, they're pretty killy as well. And then there goes our tigers to the back. So yeah, like our regular troops are doing just fine, and yeah, our tigers, you know, they only took a little bit of arrow fire, but didn't really bother them, and you know, they killed guys really quickly. So yeah, that went pretty well. Not really a serious test. Yeah, now they're just shooting with their bows and missing. So like maybe some precision on these guys. Not that like, you know, yeah, archers and dominions definitely like have issues. But yeah, overall, like, yeah, that went pretty well. Like, and our troops did pretty well. You know, I mean, our troops actually did more than our sacreds there, right? So it's like, yeah, maybe like scales expansion, you know, is going to be viable with these guys. All right, so this is what we have planned for turn 3. Yeah, we're going to move our assassins into this province and, you know, try to do a little assassin expansion there, primarily because this province doesn't really lead anywhere else, right? So this was kind of be a dead end or like wasted move for an expansion party. So yeah, we're going to try to pick it up with assassins. And then yeah, it looks like pretty much like what we're going to be able to do is one of these cheap priests and 3 of our sacreds a turn. Once we get some more gold, we'll be able to improve on that a little bit. You know, yeah, we'll be able to get you know, 4 tigers. So yeah, if we want to do an expansion party a turn, like this is what we're looking at, and what's limiting us right now is gold. And like resources will probably, no, actually not really. Like, yeah, we can get 2 more tigers with this level of resources, right? So yeah, again, tanking resources really looks totally acceptable with this nation. And if, you know, we want to improve, like if this is not going to be a viable expansion party, and like we'll see, the first thing we need to improve on is gold, right? We need more gold, you know, every turn in order to be able to get more of these tiger riders. And we're also, you know, running pretty close in terms of like holy points, but we're kind of way over what we need for recruitment points. So, you know, the like what I did scales wise there, like this order 2 is like not really necessary, right? Because we're so gold limited. Like, yeah, they are very expensive in terms of recruitment points, but because we're getting like so few because of our gold problems, you know, like at least right out the gate, like we don't really need all this order. Although that does help somewhat with our gold. So anyway, like, yeah, that's our recruitment. We're going to go ahead and send, you know, our group of 3 tigers into this, like a relatively easy province. And, you know, we'll see if that works. And then we'll send our other group, you know, into this, like, kind of tougher province. Not that it's, you know, particularly difficult, but yeah, not a lot of gold here, unfortunately. But, you know, our only other option is to go into this wasteland with these barbarians, which, like, yeah, isn't going to get us that much gold, and we'll probably take higher losses. And, you know, cleaning out your cap circle is always nice, although, like, yeah, we won't be able to, you know, yeah, we're not going to be able to take out this throne, so we'll have to backtrack a little bit, and then, yeah, I know we won't be cut off. So, but anyway, this is a somewhat valuable province, so yeah, taking it will be nice. And that's what we're doing with this nation on turn 3. All right, so let's see how our Mercadas did, as well as our assassin here. So yeah, this is at night. I don't think we have any dark vision or anything. Nope. But then again, neither do mounted commanders. And yeah, I mean, not that mounted commanders are particularly tough to assassinate, but I was a little curious, with no, like, a lot of times the regular vanilla assassins rely on poison damage to seal the deal. This is a pretty damaging weapon. So, these assassins seem, we'll see, right? But at least at first glance here, about as viable as the vanilla assassins. And then, here's our Marcata in action. Let's see, I think this was, a lot of Wolf Tribe. Yeah. So, there goes our arrow fire, mostly missing. And it kind of looks like somebody's making some skeletons. Yeah, I think it's this Wolf Tribe. Luckily, they are shooting at our archers. Here come our Marcata. You can see the sticks and stones are pretty low range, even with, like, our additional strength, right? Like, I mean, our strength is, you see, like, +6 bonus from the bless, but we still end up at, like, just barely better than, like, human level strength. So, like, these sticks and stones still don't really deal any damage. Strength probably wasn't worth it. Maybe stack on, like, some additional, like, weapon blesses, I guess. We did stun a few guys, but our rate of fire is not great here. There goes the death explosion. So it looks like we lost like 1 maybe in the explosion. But we did at least get a few kills, and now we get a rout. And it looks like, I think some of these guys get harpoons. And we're doing some stunning. So like, this like kind of worked out. I'm not really sure how much our sacreds did, but we did at least win the battle here. So let's see what our losses were. So we lose 3 of our sacreds. I'm kind of curious. Let's run through this real quick and see if we lost any to the explosion, or I think we did. I think we lost like 2 to the explosion. So let's see here. Our Divine Guard. Okay, so this is the guy that was killed by the dagger, and then no, this guy was also killed by a dagger, it looks like. And this guy was killed by a dagger. So like, at least that part of it is working. It looks like our sacreds are not being killed by the explosions. It is unfortunate that they really just melt to anything. Right? They have no protection whatsoever. Their defense is miserable. Like so they just 3 of them got knifed like almost immediately. But so the bless is like kind of working. So anyway, that's how that went. All right, and this is what we have planned this turn. Going to continue doing some assassinating down here, and then we're gonna get a bishop here. We're actually going to go with the Holy 2 for the extra leadership with this nation. We can afford it. We have less gold problems right now with this nation, and we're gonna have like 19 sacreds, and then these guys I think kind of want like a front line. So, trying to get just some of our regular units now to round things out, kind of like looking through, the units now, and in terms of like what's like limiting us, it actually looks like we do actually have like some low, like just some cheap units in general, right? A lot of these units are just cheap across the board. But overall, like we have some units that actually are higher than average, right? In terms of resources, 14 resources, but like kind of everything across the board is like lower than normal recruitment points. And like, so this guy's like 13 resources. These guys are, these guys are cheap resource wise, kind of high gold cost for some of them. But anyway, it's kind of looking like we might actually want resources more than recruitment points in terms of like what the regular, units want. So unfortunately, like our sacreds here are, kind of working against us because they're the reverse. So, something to consider, right, is like if I want to go for a more scales build, then, can kind of get away with, going down into turmoil for the regular troops for the most part, but, kind of want more resources than normal. Going into sloth is going to be difficult to make their troops difficult to mass. So we'll be able to send this group out next turn, and then, we're marching forward with our main group, or our first expansion group, against like some pretty easy stuff, although there is more units here, I think. We'll see, depends on the scout report. And then, yeah, we're going to send this guy out for some site searching. So yeah, that's what we're doing for turn 3. All right, let's see how the murder tigers do, if they live up to their name. I think, yeah, this is our group with just 3 of them. So, you know, if you have Hellblessed Sacreds, like, you shouldn't need a lot to take out Independents. Like 3, yeah, especially a province like this. You know, 3 of your Sacreds should be more than enough. Oh boy, did I not set these guys to attack? No, I did. Okay, interesting. They just threw out a couple. But yeah, of course, this is the problem when you have like a really squishy priest. This is extremely scary, seeing, you know, arrow fire come down all around him. That's why you want him protected in the back. And then, yeah, javelins are a serious problem. So you can see, like, even with, like, the bark skin protection, right, we took, like, quite a bit of damage. Now, of course, like, we regenerate. So, yeah, we're getting, like, +2 a turn. And then, yeah, we're going to be able to go down like pretty deep with our undying hit points. So I think as long as our guy doesn't get murked by an arrow, like, yeah, we're going to have no problem here. Although, like, yeah, again, arrows are an issue. So with this nation, I don't remember if we have air. I think we do. But air shield is going to be really nice, or whatever the mass air shield. So like that's a possible research target. You know, if we're going to go with like a Hellblessed, you know, sort of approach, then it's like one of the things that really hurts our Sacreds is, you know, any kind of ranged fire. So like think about like what are ways to mitigate that, and, you know, we'll kind of inform like some research targets for you, assuming we have some air access. We'll have to double check that. But yeah, so they at least didn't, you know, completely fail. Again, that was a pretty easy province, but 3 of those guys expanded just fine. You know, with their extra HP, like they weren't really ever at risk there, even though they did take some damage from those javelins. So here's our other group. They're going in. It is a little annoying that they shoot their bows. That's kind of unfortunate. This is really scary right here. So yeah, we are about to lose our prophet. So yeah, that's the danger of attack rear, but, you know, we still have enough troops. Nobody routed, so that's pretty good. I'd say our regular troops actually did pretty well there. So again, kind of indicating that, yeah, maybe scales expansion is viable with this nation. And this is what we're up to with this nation this turn. So we're going to go ahead and slam our group of 3 into some wolf tribe up here, which I think is going to be kind of dangerous and a better test. Because Wolf Tribe, they get a lot of attacks, and we are somewhat relying on our really high defense skill with these Sacreds. So with only 3 of them, their defense is going to get harassed down really effectively by these Wolf Tribes. So I think we're going to get to see like the Undying and the regeneration kind of in action, right? Like, will that be able to save us against this? And then we're also going to slam like a group of 3 into a bunch of barbarians, like a ton of barbarians, right? So barbarians do struggle with high defense, but there's enough barbarians here, like just 3 of these guys against probably not 80, but quite a few barbarians. Like this is probably going to fail, but, you know, when you're going with Hellblessed Sacreds, right, it's like they should be able to punch way above their weight. So, you know, yeah, like for test games like this, absolutely, like just slam them into stuff. And then, you know, we have our main army just taking out some deer tribe, because, like, yeah, we want to clear our cap circle and it'd be nice to get some income. And then, yeah, in terms of what we're recruiting, similar kind of thing, right? Another priest and assassin, and we can actually get like 4 tigers, right? And we're going to get a couple of these guys just as bodyguards. They have a throwing axe. That's kind of cool. So yeah, just a few bodyguards to hopefully help keep, you know, our commanders alive now that we have a little bit of extra gold. And like now we are like limited by holy points, right? So this 5 holy points is like maybe, you know, too low, right, for focusing on these Sacreds, even though, like, yes, they are like really, really expensive. As we start to pick up more provinces, like we will be able to get more of them a turn. Of course, we are going to want to start getting some more expensive mages. But, you know, it's like 5 holy points is a bit low, and I think, you know, we're starting to see that, right? Recruitment point wise, yeah, we could get 1 more, so maybe like 6 holy points, right? Because at that point, yeah, we could maybe go up to like order 3, and so, like, you know, maybe like 7 holy points, right, is, you know, the most realistic, because, you know, we just won't be able to get more than a recruitment point limit. So like, yeah, 7 holy points, or Dominion Strength 7 for 7 holy points is like kind of maybe a good place to be So anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing for recruitment and what we're doing for our movement. All right, and now here's our Marcata. Let's take a look and see if this assassin can take out, I think this is another mounted commander. Yeah. Oop, this did not start well. Did he pick up an affliction? He sure did. Never healing wound. It's not the worst. He doesn't have a lot of hit points anyway, so it works out for him. But yeah, so not much better than the vanilla assassins, if at all, because that's pretty normal for vanilla assassins as well. Only one battle here because I messed up with the commander recruitment, and this is definitely a more questionable build. So yeah, we're up against more here, and there's quite a bit down here, so like our monkeys, there's gonna be some explosions, let's put it that way. Yeah, the range is really a problem. We're not really getting a lot of slings off, so we're not really, the thunder weapons isn't really helping us out all that much. So there's the explosion. We did get a decent amount of like damage and kills there. Yeah, so we're pretty much gonna lose like all the sacreds here, I think. But they did get a decent amount of kills, with their, there goes another one. So we have one sacred left. But they did kill a lot. I can't believe these heavy infantry, like, still haven't, like, really, buddy? You haven't routed yet? Like, why not? So yeah, there you go. Should have ran away. But yeah, there we lose all of our sacreds there. So, but at least it looks like, our regular infantry will probably be able to close this out. Yeah, and we do, we have one guy. Oh boy, it looks like we just routed. Come on, hopefully this guy gets off the field. Oh no. At least our commander. Hey, all right, so that worked out for us, but just barely. All right, and this is what we're up to with our Marcata. So we're going to continue assassinating down here, and then we're just going to try to slam into this with what's left of our, starting army. It's a pretty easy province, so we'll see. I don't think they're going to win, but you never know. And then we have a new group headed out here. So yeah, we've got, just some chaff in front. This Pretender chassis actually just generates barbarians, which is kind of nice. So that'll, provide a front line. They are undisciplined, unfortunately, so they're just going to run forward. We threw in our other infantry that we recruited with this group. And then, we're just going to have our sacreds fire closest. They're not going to hold. Hopefully, we'll be able to bless them all with our priest, as they like run past. The Marcata are pretty slow. No, they're actually decently fast. So we'll see. In fact, are they faster than, they're faster than the barbarians. Are they faster than these guys? Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll set these guys a little farther back. But yeah, we do want these guys to, they're going to need to close quite a bit, to actually throw their rocks. And then hopefully with the front line, they'll actually be able to throw more sticks and stones and, kind of get some better use out of that thunder weapons. But yeah, definitely starting to rethink, the weapons bless on the sticks and stones is nice. And, with the extra strength, they get a little more range, but it's just like such a low range that, I don't know. It's, maybe not working out. Again, not that I was expecting these sacreds to perform particularly well. But yeah, so that's our other group. And then recruitment wise, we're just recruiting more of our sacreds, another priest, bishop to lead them. We probably will wait another turn and go with a larger group, and then a little bit of infantry here to provide a front line for them. We'll see. Really kind of depends on how this other group works out, and then just doing some site searching. So yeah, that's what we have planned. All right, let's see how these other assassins do. I think usually a priest is no problem. No dark vision here on this guy either. This guy's got 2 weapons. Ooh, there is a bodyguard though. Seems like for whatever reason there tends to be more bodyguards on priests. But yeah, this guy has no problem with a heavy infantry. Skills aren't great. Darkness is reducing them. But yeah, 2 weapons are useful. And then yeah, we'll see against a regular commander. Yeah, no bodyguard. That seems to be pretty common. Although yeah, a lot of these that worked out pretty well. So yeah, these guys look about as good as kind of the vanilla assassins as well. All right, now for the triple expand. That's a good sign. If we actually succeed, that's definitely what you want. With Hellblessed sacreds is to be able to hit a lot of provinces really quickly with these smaller groups. Right. So this is the wolf tribe. Quite a bit of wolf tribe, and quite a few archers too, which of course is a big problem, right? This is gonna be he just took an arrow, so For expansion like this, now that said, the bark skin, right, is helping out with our arrow problem. So definitely something to consider, like, do you want to tailor your bless around like these really crappy acolytes? Like, no, of course not. But I mean, it is relevant if they're going to be the ones that are like leading your expansion party, right? So if you can pick up something like Barkskin, that's going to help your sacreds, but also going to help keep your commanders alive, right, buddy? Yeah, the Undying. Now, he doesn't get regeneration, so yeah, this expansion party is screwed in going forward, but we still might win this battle. But anyway, if you can pick up stuff that's going to help out the commander as well as the sacreds, oh man, and like everybody just ran by, yeah, we are totally screwed on this battle. So yeah, this is a common, yeah, there he just died from arrow fire. But anyway, it's something to consider, right? And also something to consider about, like, yeah, like, should you even like Hellbless? Should you do sacred expansion, with this nation? And if all you have is like a squishy priest, it's like, well, you're gonna run into problems like this. And then yeah, now that we're routing, like, we're relying on our defense, which gets reduced by routing, and like, yeah, we just get absolutely mulched. So yeah, that did not work out at all. Maybe if our commander hadn't died, like, maybe it would have worked out. Hard to say. But yeah, archers are a big problem, if you have like kind of just a squishy priest leading your, sacred group. So yeah, this is our main army, and this is the advantage. How unsquishy is this guy? Yeah, he's a little squishy as well. Yeah, he has no armor. So yeah, at least we have like more targets for the archers to shoot at with this army, right? Maybe I actually should move the prophet a little farther away from the archers. And yeah, our net guy's doing like pretty well there. I mean, this is only deer tribe. We get entangled, that hurts a bit. But yeah, overall, like, that works out pretty well. So at least like combining these sacreds with the starting army works pretty well. Probably don't need like the Hellbless, for them to succeed. So yeah, now we have, our small group of 3 up against barbarians. A lot of barbarians, but barbarians have no bows, right? So this is actually kind of a better target in a lot of ways. Now, of course, there are a ton of them, so they run around like our just 3 sacreds, and like, yeah, they just they kill our priest. So yeah, this is not working out, right, in terms of our leadership. And then I'm kind of curious to see how long our tigers last, if at all. They are taking some damage, right? So yeah, they're not getting harassed down too much, but their defense skill is high, but like still not high enough to avoid damage. And we don't regenerate like that much. That said, like, it is working out. We are stunning a few guys, but not that many. And then yeah, we have a guy die, and then yeah, once we route, that is a big problem. But it's possible that we would have died there anyway. Probable, I would say. It is hard to tell because I didn't actually manage to grab it to see like how much our defense was reduced. But yeah, so these parties are not working out, and it's kind of looking like, well, maybe Hellbless like isn't that viable on this nation in terms of expansion, or at minimum, like, we kind of need to change, what we consider to be an acceptable target. All right, so this is what we have planned. No expansions this turn. That's definitely a bad sign, if you're going Hellblessed. I mean, it's a bad sign always, but especially if you're going Hellblessed Sacreds, like, you need to be explosive, because later in the game you're going to struggle, right? So you're supposed to get advantage out of this early. So we're sending out another group. So 4 tigers. Now we have some bodyguards. So like, bodyguards are, definitely essential. Just in general, really, for your commanders and your mages, but especially like when you have like these squishy priests. Little irresponsible of me to be sending these out, just trying to lean into the Hellblessed nature of it. And we did have like resource and money problems. Like, now that we actually have a few provinces under our belt, we can do some additional recruitment. Gonna go ahead and recruit a couple of heavy infantry to make sure this guy has 5 bodyguards. The bodyguards won't help out a ton against archers, but it'll help out a little. and then just like providing other targets in the commander's square, and then they'll help out a lot once we're going to try this barbarian province again, absolutely. But for that, so we're getting another priest, 4 tigers. Again, like we're really like, if we changed up what kind of bodyguards we were getting, we could get another tiger, but the holy points is a problem. So yeah, talked about that. That's something to remember, right, for the build. So we're going to go with some of these guys. Seem pretty effective, so we're going to get 5 of them for bodyguards, and they'll hopefully be able to hold off any barbarians that make it around and go after our commander, although almost all the barbarians went around last time, so we'll see how it goes. The other thing that I noticed is that these tigers are actually pretty fast, like map move 20, and our priests, for whatever reason, are also map move 20. So it's kind of sad that like these guys are map move 10, so we're definitely like sacrificing our movement. Our infantry is like decently fast, so we could maybe use these guys as bodyguards and we wouldn't lose as much movement speed. So something to consider for the next group. I'm just planning on sending these against the barbarians, which are right next door, so it's gonna be fine for this next group. But yeah, maybe even use like some of these cavalry as bodyguards because they're map move 22, right? So then we'd have a map move 20 like sacred expansion group, which would be kind of nice. These lion guys are only map move 16. Now that said, like these are fairly expensive to be using as bodyguards, but I think they're the only guys. Everybody else is map move 18 or slower. Actually, maybe these guys are map move 18 as well. So if we want a really fast expansion group, we'll have to rely on some cavalry to be the bodyguards. So yeah, and then we're just sending our initial army. They're gonna go after this eventually. Actually, map move 10. Who is right? These guys. So something to consider. Like these guys have been doing pretty well, but they're pretty slow. So something to consider. So yeah, that was this turn. Not a very successful turn for this nation. Surely our Marcata have done much better. So yeah, this guy was able to assassinate a priest. Excellent. Looks like there was no bodyguards. Didn't find any magic sites. And yeah, let's take a look. I think this is our starting army. Yeah, so this is like a less interesting. We have the one sacred out there. Let's see if he gets taken out by like a javelin or something. Or if he manages to explode and get some kills. Just run right past him. Come on, kill the guy who's gonna explode. Curse you. He stuns a guy at least with his shock weapons, his dancing fists, no doubt. And yeah, unfortunately, like now they're in among our archers, who actually I'm not actually familiar with this weapon, but it does a decent amount of damage. So like our archers are not like terrible in melee, and this guy's just back here like feeling kind of sad, throwing some sticks and stones and missing. That is one disadvantage of increasing the strength. Yeah, and then our archers are out. They're pretty miserable. Yeah, there goes our group. Although like managed there. Now he blows up. Too little, too late. So yeah, that didn't work out. That's not surprising. Let's see how our other like new and improved expansion group works out here. So yeah, everybody starts running forward. It looks like I probably didn't back position our Marcata enough. That is one nice thing, yeah, because they're size 1, they pack in really tight, so they're easier to bless, which I definitely forgot about. They're taking archer fire, ouch. Yeah, which we knew that was going to be a problem. So yeah, sticks and stones. You can see like in the numbers, right, they're starting to get like a decent amount of stuns. This guy got out in front. That's cool because he's going to explode. Hey, wait, where'd our explosion go? What the heck? Oh, he must have not got blessed. Dang. So anyway, they're easier to bless. Yeah, and unfortunately our front line just runs past. But still, these are just like what, militia? Yeah, so we're able to rout them no problem. And then like, yeah, barbarians they're fine. Once they close in, they're gonna mess things up, and like, yeah, this works out. Not this was like a particularly difficult province, or that our bless did amazing or anything, but hey, it worked out. So yeah, we'll see. Not too many losses. Like yeah, lost 3 of the sacreds, lost most of the barbarians. But still, this group is like somewhat viable. Like yeah, we'll see how it works out going forward. All right, and this is what our Marcata are up to. So we're sending our prophet home. He'll be able to lead an expansion group. We're gonna have our bishop here just enter our site, which we can enter for combat training. Just a little bit of experience, not very useful, but he has nothing better to do anyway. Because yeah, I don't think this is really going to make a viable expansion party, so we're going to do 2 turns 2 turns of recruitment, so that's not a very good sign, especially, again, right, with Hellblessed Sacreds, like, you want really explosive, effective early game, so the fact that, we can't get an expansion party out every turn is, like, a pretty big, like, red flag. That's like, okay, like, the Bless, like, isn't strong enough, like, or, has issues, like, you can't, if you're not getting an expansion group out, like, every turn with Hellblessed Sacreds, probably not worth it. But we're sending this group forward. There's not too much here, but we are going to get some heavy cavalry, so we're going to see how these sacreds do against heavy cavalry. We don't really have much of a front line left. Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Recruitment wise, we're doing more of the same, more or less, getting a mage this turn because we can pull that off, and then of course continuing our assassinations. So yeah, that's what we're up to this turn.